Overwatch has had some massive patches come out this week, but out of all of these changes, one sticks out: Reapers. Today, I'm going to set you ahead of the curve so that when these changes go live, you'll be the best Reaper that there ever was.
But here comes Buds again, and he's looking to do it one more time. Drops right there, gets three, and that's going to be Stoop with another. Follows up with one more. Cool Matt's there for the assistance, and a beautiful clear there from Fnatic as they...
My name is Nate, and welcome to Blizzard Guides. So today I've got 5 sections explaining the changes, then explaining the new and updated playstyles, and then I'll also just go into each of his individual abilities and then explain some tips and techniques just to get the most value out of them. So with that said, let's get into this video. So starting us off at number 5, the Reaper changes. Now, a lot of people are seriously underestimating how strong these changes are. We're going to do a bit of math here, so stick with me for a bit and try not to fall asleep. We're not in math class, it's just some simple stuff, I hope. See, as listed on the patch notes, Reaper's lifesteal went from 30% to 50%, so he went from gaining 0.3 health per 1 damage that he did to 0.5 health. So that means a 20% increase, right? No, he actually got a 66% increase in health that he gets back. See, if you divide 0.3 by 0.5, you'll get the percent increase, which is 66.66666, whatever percent. That means that Reaper's self-heal is now 67% better. That doesn't even include the 5% of extra damage that he can deal with body shots and 22% from headshots against armor with the reduced armor buffs, or deep nerfs, I guess. Yeah, nerfs. So that means that if you're body shotting armor, you're now doing a ton more heals per second since you're cutting through that armor 15% faster. So all those numbers mean what, Professor Nate? Reaper is finally in the role that he should have been from the start: Tank Buster. If you're close up dealing headshots, you're practically invincible, since if you're landing all headshots, which is unlikely, you're doing up to 280 heals per second. That's literally better than Mercy's Staff, Brigitta's Inspire, Zen's Harmony Orb, Ana not missing a single shot, and a Moira healing you, all combined. Now, obviously, I'm exaggerating since these are perfect conditions, but it is still ridiculous. So with all of that math out of the way, let's get into how you play the new Reaper to the best potential. Coming in at number 4, let's talk playstyle. To me, there are 3 styles of playstyle, but they're more of a spectrum of playstyles rather than just 3 cut and dry ways to play. First off, you can play Hunt and Pounce. Second, you can play Flanker. And third, you can play Frontliner. I'll explain each and you'll see more of what I mean. The first, Hunt and Pounce, uses his E or the map to get behind and preferably above the enemy team. He'll wait until the enemy team is about to get into a fight, and then he'll pounce onto the easiest kill and then continue searching and destroying until he wraiths out. This playstyle, in my opinion, is the most effective with Reaper, at least with the old Reaper changes. Then there's Flanker Reaper, who will play with his team until there is a team fight, at which point he'll flank to the sides of the enemy using the map or distractions and begin harassing tanks and healers from angles that they wouldn't expect because of them, being distracted with the fight. And finally, there's the Frontliner Reaper, who, the name implies, plays at the front, melting the enemy frontline and being part of the heap of death that attacks. So right now, Hunt and Pounce is king just because Reaper gets destroyed at range, and if his position is known before he starts shooting, tanks can generally outposition or outdamage him since armor is super effective against Reaper and Reaper will die pretty quickly. But now that Reaper's been given the immunity of literally a freaking god, he's not so much going to rely on pouncing. Now, if you're smart and you have a Lucio and a shield, I believe that Reaper is really going to be able to shut down any comps that are reliant on tanks reliably. See, if Reaper plays the front line and focuses tanks with the help of speed boost, he's not really going to need many heals and will most likely be able to be paired with a Zenyatta to just melt and self-heal rapidly. For that reason, if you play frontliner, you're just going to be able to be a damage outputting beast. Just make sure to juke the tanks into giving you an opening to start dealing damage from, and don't overcommit without the help of your team since you do get destroyed by any sort of range. So most likely, to counter Reaper, you'll be running a Widow and you'll just wait till he moves in front of his tanks, which if you're a bad Reaper, you'll be doing a lot. So with that said, let's move on to Reaper's ability so that you can execute each of these playstyles. This will help you understand how to use these mechanical tips to your advantage. So at number 3, Reaper's Wraith. I've got 2 principles and 2 cool tips for Wraith. First off, don't ever Wraith into the fight unless you need to get past a body block in overtime or are avoiding some sort of ult. Otherwise, never Wraith into the fight. You're just gonna get destroyed faster than my hopes and dreams do, so don't ever try it. Use Wraith to get out of the fight or escape high danger scenarios. Now, on top of that, the second principle is think of Wraith as a dodge, not a movement technique or ability or whatever you want to call it. I got this tip actually from Jardio playing Mei, and applying this principle to Reaper made me way better at Reaper. Basically, Wraith is a great way to dodge sleeps, hooks, stuns, antis, discords, EMPs, and way more. If you just use Wraith to dodge those CC abilities or cleanse those debuffs, and then exit Wraith immediately and begin dealing damage once you've dodged those abilities, you're going to be way more impactful because you spend way less time just floating around like a balloon. Then for the tips and stuff, when you get hooked or stunned or whatever, and you need to Wraith as fast as possible, hold down the button for Wraith, but don't spam it. You can queue abilities by holding their keys down so that you Wraith as soon as possible. You literally just hold the button down while you're getting hooked, and then you'll immediately Wraith as fast as possible. So coming in at number 2, let's talk about that pesky teleport ability that nobody likes. Now, I'm not some sort of genius or 5-head theory crafter, so I can't really make it any better, but I can offer some interesting tips or techniques that might help you out in those few scenarios that you actually use Shadow Step. First off, Shadow Stepping in the middle of the fight. It's not a dodge ability, stop doing it. The only exception is if you're trying to pull off some crazy timing on a Diva Bomb, which can work, but it is more of a dice roll than anything. You're only invulnerable for a few ticks, and you're super vulnerable whenever you're actually Wraithing, so don't do it. It's really not worth it. However, now moving on, while most say that you should use it to get into the fight and engage, but I actually think that you can do more than that. If you're getting chased or trying to escape quickly, move out of the line of sight of your enemies and then Shadow Step into a spot far away that is also out of line of sight. That time from when you leave the line of sight is usually enough for you to get out without the enemy noticing where you teleported to, meaning that you'll be able to escape faster than it took my dad to go leave to buy cigarettes. And hopefully it won't take you 17 years to get back into the fight. It works because the sound cue is only at your exit point, not at your start point, so you can really be silent. And then also, if you're trying to get into the fight, an important tip I can offer you is that you should always try and go for the opposite vertical area when teleporting. If your enemy is on the high ground, teleport to the low ground, and if your enemy is on the low ground, teleport to the high ground. Each allow you to just be super sneaky, and even if the enemy hears you, they won't know exactly where you are, and that'll allow you to set up a 1 or 2 shot combo. And with that, at number 1, some tips for getting the ultimate off. Like most of you who've watched at least 30 seconds of Reaper gameplay or literally selected the hero on the select screen, you want to surprise the enemy with your ult. High ground is usually the best for this. I don't really need to explain that in depth. However, what I do need to explain is that you need to stop ulting out of your Wraith. It's just like engaging with Wraith. It's a huge no-no. If you absolutely need to, as you exit Wraith, jump out of the way of what you think will cancel your ult or kill you, whether that be a flashbang, sleep dart, or widow shot. Literally all you have to do is when you're Wraithing and you uncloak, jump in any direction and it'll be good. Then on top of that, if you're like at Diamond Plus, don't be afraid to solo ult. Reaper's ult sucks the higher rank that you are, so solo ulting isn't a bad idea, especially since kills the higher rank that you are more valuable. Just watch Spirit play Reaper and you'll see solo ults for days. And then last but not least, I want to show you something about how Reaper interacts with shields. Reaper's ult draws a line between each enemy, and if the shield is in the way, it applies damage to that shield. However, each shield also counts as another damage target. That means that if there is somebody behind a shield, not only will you attempt to deal 510 damage to the enemy, you'll also do that to the shield, meaning that you'll do 120 damage to a Rhine shield, and then do 510 more damage for each enemy behind that shield, and this applies to Winston's bubble or Orisa's barrier. So what this means is that if you see a bunch of people behind a shield, and the shield is low, you'll do significant damage to the shield and most likely be able to kill them behind the shield. Just be wary that they will shoot you through the shield, so if your goal is only breaking the shield, you'll do it quickly, but you'll probably die. But anyway, that's it for today's video. If this video helped you out, leave a comment and drop a like. It helps us out a ton to know if you're enjoying the videos. Also, make sure to get subscribed and notified for more videos like this. And if you want to be a part of our awesome community of players, follow our Twitter, Instagram, and Discord from the links down below. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Have a nice day. My name is Nate, and this was Blizzard Guides.